said ask him, so we did. Shoulder still thick from football grip. Farmer looked us over, paused
So for the past couple of years at 310 Timber, you guys have probably noticed we haven't been very active on YouTube. And that's because we've completely changed our business model since our last YouTube video. And we're now building structures all over the US.
Got desire in your eyes that's stuck instead. 310 Timber.
In this video, we're going to show you guys all the content that we were able to capture about these 3 structures that we built in Moab, Utah, to try to get you caught up to current day and show you where we've been, what we've been doing, how our business has changed, and where we want to go in the future.
So we're back at Canyonlands Ranch. It's been about 2.5 years since 310 Timber has been on this ground. 2.5 years ago, we built this barn that I'm standing in front of, plus a few other structures. It's been really cool to be on the property, to see all the enhancements and additions and things that the owner is currently doing and still working on. It's really neat to see this building finished out. When we left this building, there were no wings on it. There was no windows installed. We did quite a bit of work. We spent 12 weeks on the mountain. I spent 38 days raw dogging it solo, living in one of the cabins we built.
I had no idea what to expect. I knew very little about Utah. Driving up to the property the first time, we were kind of looking at each other like, are we about to build here? 3 structures? Like, this is insane. I mean, it was just absolutely gorgeous. Mountains on one side. You could see Canyonlands National Park from one part of the bluff, and then you could look down another section and see Arches National Park. I mean, it was probably to date the coolest spot we've ever built. We were talking with the client one day. It was downpouring rain. We're just telling him like, hey, thank you so much for the opportunity. Like, we're so thrilled to be a part of this and to have this opportunity to build in an incredible place, once in a lifetime opportunity. And he's like, nah, you guys are gonna build in the coolest places in the country. And we're like, oh, really? Like, I hope so. Sounds cool. Like, I'd like to do more of this.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's a pretty satisfying feeling to be back here and see these structures after a couple years. So let's take a look at them. This is a pretty special frame. It's a 40 by 60 English style barn frame that we deconstructed in Indiana. What makes it so special is the upright posts on the longer ends of the barn are what's called a gunstock. And the reason it's called a gunstock is because it looks like the butt of a gun. So here you've got kind of the wider part, and then down below you can see just how narrow that is. The reason that they did that is because they wanted to bring this beam up here so that it met up with the top plate right here, so that they had that extra height. Typically a tie beam like this is at least 18 inches down, but if you do a gunstock, then you can have everything meet together in one place. The farmers did this for various reasons. Obviously, more height is better when you're trying to move in hay, room to move material around. It's a very rare form of timber framing. It's very common in new timber framing, but to find a structure that's 150 years old that has gunstock posts in it, you could take down 100 barns and probably not find one. So this is a very special structure. Also, it's all white oak, so very, very strong and durable material.
Would you say if you walk into 100 barns, you might see one like that?
I don't even know if it'd be 100. Yeah, probably not even 100. Ezra and I have taken down 50 plus structures and walked through hundreds and hundreds of barns all over the country. And I don't think we've only seen two gunstock frames. So This was 2023. I believe the end of January when we first made contact about the hickory cabin. Between then and the middle of March is when we finally locked in that we were going to be doing 3 projects. May 5th of that year, we deconstructed the barn, and we had just over a month to bring it back to Iowa, restore it, replace what needed to be replaced, prep the other 2 projects and all the logistics that went into that, all within a month. Restored the barn, shipped it out June 6th or 8th. It was tight schedule. We find ourselves in tight schedules a lot of times.
We did about 60 repairs on this frame, cutting new tenons, cutting new joinery, new mortises, cleaning things up, replacing certain posts and beams that were rotted out from years and years of deterioration. We replaced the rafters with new rough-sawn material, 2x8 stock, true 2x8. We put reclaimed roof board on top of that, and then we put reclaimed siding all around the structure. So from the inside, it looks like an old barn, but then we overframed everything, stick frame construction around the entire structure, insulated it so it's much warmer in here than it is out there, and it's not heated. So we threw insulation on the walls and the roof, then we sheeted it, installed custom milled 1x10 board and batten siding. We did quite a bit of work on this barn, and it's something that I'm really proud of. We also provided custom flooring for the lofts. We provided threshing floor for the bays underneath the loft. Underneath this are what's called sleeper beams. So they're these gigantic beams that are hewn flat on 2 sides and then rounded on the other 2. Here are those sleeper beams that I was talking about. The replacement beams we used were birch. And then on top of the beams, you can see our custom double tongue and groove flooring that we made out of some rough-sawn pine that was reclaimed material. Originally, floor joists in a different barn. Not all of this material came from one barn. The majority of the frame came from the same place, but a lot of this, we went out and we sourced, figure out how we could kind of make our client's vision come true.
Middle of nowhere, maps gave out.
Originally, we were going to be in and out 4 weeks, get the structures up, pass it off to the next contractor, and it ended up being about 10 or 11 weeks. Ezra might have a better answer on that. He might know more specifically. But also, do note this, Ezra, he's known to kind of create false memories and like conflate things, so, or inflate things.
Like a 9-month deployment in his mind.
Yeah. He's like, I might say it was like 10 or 12. He's like, we were there for 47 weeks. And I fasted for 40 days. And I'm just kidding.
John the Baptizer coming out of the wilderness.
He was eating bugs, locusts.
I mentioned that I was raw dogging it for 38 days solo up in the mountain. We actually made 3 separate trips for this build. The first was 3.5 weeks. The second was 3 weeks. And then the last one was 7.5. What's the math there? Hold on. 3.5 plus 3 is 5.5.
6.5.
Plus 7 plus 6.5. It's 6.5. Good job. I was actually an elementary school teacher before I did this, and I got out of that business real quick.
The kids weren't learning anymore.
They weren't learning.
Yeah, I think it ended up being about 10 or 11 weeks. And part of that was we added extra work that we thought was only going to add a couple more weeks, but that ended up being about 5 to 6 weeks.
So this is the saddle shed, and this structure was original to this property. So when our client reached out to us, he was originally reaching out about a different log cabin that we're gonna go take a look at. But he said, hey, I wanna do a deal with you guys. I wanna buy this structure. I wanna put it on my ranch. But I've got this cabin. It's original to the land. And I'm only gonna do a deal if you can refurbish it and turn it into something cool. So obviously we said yes. We're certainly going to do that. We were working with a guy named Seth at the time, and Seth is actually the one who taught us how to build dovetail cabins. And Seth went out to Salt Lake, Utah. They had already taken this cabin down, and he went and restacked all the logs, recut all the joints, made sure everything was plumb and square. and ready to be stacked on a new foundation. He also added these cantilevered beams. We did this ridge beam, which was not original. We did this entire porch system, which was not original. The view that you get when you're sitting out here, you could put a rocking chair out here and just look, and you could probably do that for hours. At least I could. There's buffalo out in the distance. Those are buffalo. So pretty unique scenery. Living on the mountain that third trip, 38 days, I was basically solo. There was a ranch hand that lived out here too, but he didn't spend much time on the ranch. Elias came out for the last week and a couple days to help me get everything wrapped up. When I was living out here, I was working on the barn. And so we had already completed this build. I had a cot in the saddle shed cabin with a blanket and a lantern because there was no electricity out here. So this is where I slept for 38 days.
Do note this, Ezra, he's known to kind of create false memories and like conflate things, so.
And there was one morning where I woke up suddenly and it seemed like the end of the world was happening because the whole cabin was just shaking. Boom, 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 boom. It's like, what in the world is going on? You know, when you first wake up, you're kind of disoriented and you might have some crazy thoughts. So I was like, what is going on? Is it Judgment Day? I quickly got up out of bed. I opened up one of the windows and that entire herd of buffalo out in the distance was running through this cabin. So close, they could have been brushing up on the logs. They were running on deck that I'm standing on. They were coming down that hill. That was amazing. It was also peak elk mating season, so they were bugling all night. It was a pretty special time. Oh yeah. I guess I was raw dogging it because I'm a coffee drinker and there was no coffee machine. And like I said, there was like no electricity on the mountain. So I did have a big jar of Folgers coffee. And when I was feeling tired, I would just crack that jar open and just take a big sniff. And that was just enough to get me through the next couple hours. Behind me, I'm trying to stay out of the wind. That's why I'm sitting on this picnic table a little strange. But behind me is the custom 20 by 20 hickory dovetail cabin that we constructed for our client. This again was a project with Seth, who I was talking about earlier. We cut all new dovetails for this. The hickory logs were reclaimed out of a different Indiana gunstock frame, believe it or not. That frame was so dilapidated, the roof was caving in. That was more of a piece of part project, but we were really excited about these massive hickory logs. And hickory, if you don't know, is extremely dense. So we constructed this 20 by 20 dovetail cabin. We came out here and we built it. And it's another thing that we're really proud of. These two cabins, this cabin actually, if you're standing and you're looking out all four windows, you can see a different landmark from Utah, depending on which window you're looking out. Right over there is Arches National Park. Over there is Canyonlands. Behind me is the La Salle mountain range. And then over here is a different mountain range. One of the cool things about building with reclaimed timbers and building with history is the landscapes in which you put your structures. You know, you think about that barn was originally in farmland in Indiana. The saddle shed was here originally. It was whoever settled this land built that out of the trees that they harvested themselves. And then this hickory cabin was, again, the beams from it were sitting in a barn for 150 years in Indiana. And I'd love to go back and talk to the people who built these structures and say, can you imagine a world in which what you're building now is going to be so valuable to the people of the future? They're going to appreciate your craftsmanship so much that they're going to hire someone like me to come take it down, refurbish it, and turn it into something new that's usable for the future. I think it'd absolutely blow their minds because they were just building agricultural structures. And this guy was just building a log cabin for his family to live in. So we did all this work 2.5 years ago. We actually brought this picnic table is down by the barn, but we liked the view up here so much that we drove the skid loader backwards because that was the only way at the time to get up this hill. We set this on the deck and this is where we would eat lunch every day on those first 2 trips. And sure enough, 2.5 years later, it's right where we left it. You know, some things change and then others stay the same.